guys, Beth here, owner of Homegrown Fitness. Thank you so much for tuning in again with a vodcast. And today's guest is Ginny Oharrow. First and foremost, I wanted to welcome her onto the podcast today because you are a breast cancer survivor and your story is just very uplifting. It's powerful, and I feel like it can encourage a lot of listeners today. And not only is she a breast cancer survivor, but she's also very active in the community, along with having farm life and working a full-time job as well. So I am just going to pass the mic on over. I don't have a mic, but here's my invisible one. And I would love for you to share just a little bit of your history and your background, where you're currently at, working at the Oconto Falls Area Chamber, and
Okay, so my story. Okay, so I moved from Menasha to Oconto Falls in 2002. My husband and I were dating at the time, and I was working as an X-ray tech in the Appleton area. And when we decided we were going to get married, I moved up here and started working at what was CMH, but is now St. Clair Memorial Hospital. So I did X-ray work at the hospital from 2002 until I actually resigned in 2019. But throughout that time frame, I started out full time and then went to part time as I had more kids and had kids with health issues, or I had health issues myself. And then as I transitioned away from the X-ray world, I transitioned back into our family farm world, and I started out doing book work. And now I do all of the payroll, human resources, bills, finances, like all of that at the farm, along with my husband. So it's fun working for a family business. And now that my kids are older, I actually have 4 of 4 working at the farm with me.
Oh, I love that.
That's pretty cool.
Did they show cows or cattle at growing up?
No, they didn't. Actually, it's really funny. My husband did, and we just the kids never really got into it, and we didn't push them. Right now we have one that graduated last year. He's been working at the farm, working with the herds staff. So he's doing a lot of cow vet check things. We've got one that has been in a tractor since probably the spring, doing field work and working in the shop. And we've got another one that is a jack of all trades at the farm, and he's fixing things all the time. And then the youngest is still in high school, so he's not at the farm right this second, but he does a lot of lawn care and some other easier part-time stuff.
Yeah. And it is a juggle. Farm life, we were just talking about farm life and how it's a 24-hour business. It's a never ending. You never know what obstacles are going to be present for that morning, that day. We just had harvest season. How did harvest go for you guys?
Harvest went really well.
Yay!
It went really, really well. And then actually I heard my husband say to someone this morning that this is the first time in a long time he remembers a corn harvest season without mud.
Wow.
So that was kind of a big deal.
Yeah. I wonder if a lot of farmers are experiencing that too, or having that feeling.
I would imagine so, and just thankful that the big harvest is done.
What are the next steps, farm life, and then we're going to transition to other.
Sure.
What's like the next step after harvest now? What do we prepare for?
Well, I mean, it's not amazing to talk about, but we're trying to get our manure pit emptied. That's something that has to happen before winter sets in. We do call it liquid gold on the farm.
It is liquid gold.
So right now we're working on pumping out the manure pit, and then just getting some wheat planted that will grow over the winter, some winter wheat and some winter rye. And then it'll be just hunkering down for the winter and keeping the animals fed and healthy and getting everything ready to go for spring.
And you guys have a fairly big farm, don't you? I would say.
I think so. There certainly are farms that are bigger, but we have, there's 4 Oharrow boys working at the farm, but we have roughly 35, 40 employees. And then we're milking around 1,800 cows, plus taking care of calves and pregnant moms.
Oh my goodness. Plus being the president for the Oconto Falls Area Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Kind of tell me about that role and your duty within the community.
Sure. So actually my father-in-law, interestingly enough, he really pushed me to do something called Leadership Oconto County. And the first time we brought leadership to Oconto County was in 2018. So I was part of that very first class, 2018 and 2019. And I learned a lot about what the county has to offer for services, for jobs, for tourism, all kinds of things. I made some really good friends that have become family now. But doing the leadership kind of pushed me into maybe taking the next step and doing the things that were scary. So through leadership, I started to get involved with the Chamber of Commerce, and this is my first year as president. I've been on the chamber for 5 years now. I guess through that leadership too, it just pushed me to say yes to a few more things. So I do also
Not just shut the door.
not just shut the door. Yeah, to say yes, and that's pretty intentional. To say yes, it's easy to say no,
It is.
and sometimes you need to say no.
Yes,
and that's important to learn too. But saying yes when something is scary is pretty empowering.
Yeah. I mean, and you guys do a lot for the community and for just the local businesses as well.
We try. We're a work in progress, like we always are, but we try. We're trying to be that liaison between business and the community. And we live in a pretty great place.
We do. O'Connell Falls is really a great community.
It's a great community.
And it's very scenic. Like, I really encourage, if you are a traveler and need some hilly routes for biking, running, whatever you plan on doing, plus we have that river access here, you can really get an all-around workout, outdoor experience when you just come here to O'Connell Falls.
Yeah.
Plus you have the East River trails. So
yeah,
really good. So juggling farm life and you being the president within the community, how would you say the family balance has been? I mean, it's great that your family is pretty much all on the farm together.
Yeah. The years that the kids were younger, our oldest was 10 before we had any other kids. And then those additional 3 boys came within 3.5 years. So we were really busy for a good chunk of time. And those were the years that I didn't do a lot outside of my home and my work. But that's what was the most important. But the older they've gotten, the more I've been able to do more in the community. And it's really satisfying to be able to be parts of the community that I love. It doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly doesn't happen when there's littles at home or when there's toddlers, or even, young elementary, middle age or middle school age kids. But, once they start driving, get a little bit more freedom. And I don't have any kids in sports right now, so that frees up a lot of my time as well.
Yeah. Now, you've experienced a lot of trials in life, not only your breast cancer journey, but also you experienced a journey with your youngest son.
Yes.
Would you mind sharing that?
Sure. So our youngest son, Gannon, was born in 2009. And when I was 20 weeks pregnant and we had our anatomy scan, the doctor said there's something wrong with his heart. We're not really sure what it is. So sent us home and said, you're going to need to see a specialized doctor for this to let you know what really is going on with his heart. So that was a tough one. We had real young kids at home. I think they were 2 and 3, maybe around that 2, 3, and
kind of all probably
13.
A blur.
Yeah, it was all kind of a blur. So once we got into the perinatalogist, he gave us the diagnosis of hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which basically means half of the heart doesn't develop. And if you know anatomy at all, the left side of the heart is what pumps the blood to the body. The right side of the heart is what's pumping blood to the lungs mostly. So when that left side of his heart wasn't formed, that puts a lot of strain on the only half of the heart that's left. So we knew he was going to be born at Children's Hospital. We knew that he was going to need some surgeries to survive. And that sort of started this new journey for us in 2009. And I think, it sort of set the stage for helping and advocating. And we had gotten asked a couple times early on when Gannon was born, if we would, be in some studies so we could figure out, maybe where's this heart disease coming from, or is it genetic, or is it environmental? We just said yes. We'll do what we can to help you research wise. So Gannon was born in 2009, and between birth and then being listed and getting his heart transplant, which he got at 14 months old, he spent 7 of those months at the hospital. at Children's, which is when we stayed at the Ronald McDonald House
Okay.
then, and either lived at Ronald McDonald House or home, and then just drove. We did a lot of driving those years back and forth
Yes,
between
yeah.
O'Connell Falls and Milwaukee.
How did you stay positive throughout that experience? Like, what was kind of the feelings and the emotions while you were down at the Ronald McDonald
I'd
House?
like to think that I'm a pretty positive person in
Mhm.
general, but when we were down there, you're sort of secluded in your hospital setting, especially in 2009. I wasn't on Facebook. I don't even know if there was. I think there might have been some Facebook in 2009, but it wasn't like it is now.
Correct.
Social media wasn't a thing. We weren't allowed to have cell phones in the ICU. I didn't even have a smartphone in 2009. So, I mean, it's sort of a different life back then.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's not even that many years ago.
and it's not even that many years ago, but it's crazy how it's changed. So we really insulated. We circled the wagons between my husband and I and our kids, and then our real close family and friends. We just sort of circled the wagons. We stayed pretty insular, I guess. And I think watching others at the hospital and at Ronald McDonald House be negative, I could see how much harder it was for them to even function on a normal day.
Right.
And I just didn't want that for us.
Right.
We wanted something a little bit more positive.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely like when you have that negative emotion and that feeling, it's draining, it's exhausting.
For sure.
Because then you almost have to shift gears when you're walking in and out of that room so your child doesn't see that. Yeah. That's definitely going to be hard. So having that positive mindset, it's a healing form for you as well. And I mean, your son probably didn't notice so much of those feelings, but I mean, he could probably sense it. I mean, we all carry different energies, and if we can carry those energies more in a positive way, it's only going to spread. Somebody said to me this morning, it was about, they can see you smile. Oh, it was my clients this morning, because we were just talking about positive energy and how the class this morning was very positive and really good energy. And we were all smiling, and he goes, "I can see you smile." And I was like, "Oh, that's good." And so that's something that you're supposed to say. Like if you're talking on the phone, you're supposed to be smiling because people can see that.
Yes.
And I really try to share a positive attitude. And when you experience somebody who's negative, it is really draining.
It's very draining. For sure.
And we've been talking about how, the social media world is becoming very more so focused on really harsh opinions, not being able to have good intellectual debates with one another. It's more argumentative, one-sided, and we both are kind of shifting away from that social media world. But this will be on YouTube and social media, so don't bypass me. So with your son's fight and resiliency, how do you think you've used that moving forward in your journey?
Well, it's, I guess, difficult to talk about our journey without talking about Little Hearts for Life.
Mm-hmm.
And after Gannon had gotten his new heart in 2010, and then we were sent home, we had other friends who had a son born with a congenital heart defect, friends from the area. And we said, let's do something. Let's do something about this. And Joel, my husband, and I had hosted a corn roast at our house once or twice just for work and for friends. And it wasn't a real big deal, but we thought, well, why don't we just try this corn roast thing? We'll do a little fundraiser and see if we can raise some money for the hospital. And that first year, I think we raised like $10,000.
Oh
and the second year, we raised $17,000. And
that's
then
awesome.
we decided at that point that we needed something bigger than just us.
Mm-hmm.
So we formed a committee, we formed a nonprofit, and in the 9 years in person, I think 10 years with virtual, we raised over $270,000.
That's amazing.
For pediatric heart research through Children's. But I
Thank
feel
you
like
for doing
that for sure. It was our pleasure. We developed a community of other parents that were going through the similar things. And it was really nice to have, and still is nice to have those people in our lives that understand where we were and we understand where they were. Mm-hmm. It's been a really nice community. But I think that was just maybe the first time, you start small with a little corn roast and then all of a sudden it's this big thing. But that, again, that sort of set the tone for maybe how we handle life, I guess, in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just shows like people are looking to support in so many different ways and
Absolutely.
areas. Do you guys do a benefit then with this? You said virtual. How do you do virtual?
Well, we did virtual the year of COVID.
Oh, correct.
Yep,
Yes.
just because we couldn't have 500 to 600 people in our front yard
Yeah.
during COVID. And then after COVID, we just transitioned into not having the event anymore.
Mhm.
It was a lot of work, and we valued every single person that helped us, every single
Mhm.
person that was on our team and on our board, and everyone in the community that supported us. But we just felt it was time to let others sort of carry that torch
Yeah.
for fundraising, and so now we get to help other people with what they do.
Yeah, that's awesome though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to start somewhere. Every fundraising benefit organization needs to start somewhere. And like you said, you started in a small,
Yeah.
just with a little corn roast. Hey, I love corn roast.
Us too.
When you're going through this experience too, like how was your spiritual connection? Did it get stronger? Have you always had a strong spiritual faith?
Yes, I have. My dad was a pastor,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I grew up with the church right next door to my house, and I grew up going to church a lot.
Mhm.
We had 2 services on Sundays. We did hymn nights oftentimes on Sunday evenings. Those were
Oh my
amazing
God.
when I was a kid. We had Bible studies in our home. My mom would make lunch for, we had a different family from the church come every single Sunday for some sort of like pot roast or whatever.
Mhm.
So I've sort of grown up in the church. And of course, like anything else, a relationship with Jesus or with God can
Yeah.
ebb and flow with what's happening in your life.
Mhm.
But certainly during times of trial, for me, it's a lot easier for me to go through that knowing that I've got God there
Yeah.
with me.
Mhm.
Um, that's been really apparent, I guess, for me, and I hope for my kids.
Yeah.
Um, but I really value just knowing that
Mhm.
God's there for me.
Mhm. So kind of carrying that connection, God always has a plan, right, for
Yeah.
everybody's journey. So, when did you find out about your journey beginning with breast
With
cancer?
breast cancer.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I worked in the X-ray department, I started out in just regular X-ray, and then I transitioned into learning how to do CT, and then after CT, I learned how to do mammography. So I actually was doing breast cancer screening on women when I myself was going through my breast cancer treatment. And it's really interesting because I think I was 34. My mom also has a history of breast cancer.
Okay.
So when I was 34, I said, you know what, I'm doing these mammograms. I really should know what it feels like.
Right.
And I asked my doctor at the time if she would order a mammogram. And she thought, yeah, that makes perfect sense. You're 34, your mom had breast cancer at 48. Let's just get this done.
Mhm.
Well, my insurance company wouldn't pay for it. And so we kind of fought and fought and fought. And I ended up, I think I paid for that first one out of my pocket. But I got that first one done when I was 34. And then I think I don't remember if I had another one after that, maybe at 36. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, it was the year I was 37. I had turned 37 in November. And then that January, we were kind of in the middle of that having kids part of our lives. So that was 2013. So Gannon had just had his transplant in 2010. We thought maybe we'll add one more kid to our family if that's going to happen. And so I'd had a couple pregnancies and a couple of miscarriages, throughout that time frame. And in between all of that, I had felt a lump, and I thought, well, I've been pregnant. I've had some miscarriages. I'm not going to think about it too much. And then a few weeks later, I felt it again, and it felt bigger. It felt like something I didn't want to ignore. I had an appointment with my OBGYN for just a routine screening, and I mentioned it at that time. And at the time, I was seeing a nurse practitioner, and she was really great. However, she said, I feel what you're feeling, but I don't think we need to do any images on it. I think that's probably normal for you. And I was hesitant to believe her, but I was relieved because I thought, oh, good, she's not worried. I don't need to be worried.
Right.
Well, it was something that I should have been worried about, and I should have listened to myself a little bit sooner. And that's one of those things that I think you learn through time, is to listen to yourself for your own health or the health of your family or loved ones. So again, I think I was laying in bed and I felt the lump again, and it was even bigger. And I thought, I cannot ignore this anymore. And I work in the X-ray department. This is like absolutely ridiculous. I'm doing mammograms all the time. Like it's ridiculous. So I talked to the radiologists that were working, and I said, "Hey, this is what's happening. What do I do?" And they're like, "You know exactly what you need to do."
Mm-hmm.
So I had a mammogram, and then an ultrasound, and then a breast biopsy. And 2 days later, I finally called the hospital and I said, "Hey, I know you have the results and I need them. Like I'm freaking out. I need to know what this is."
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty sure I knew what it was.
Right.
But sure enough, the breast cancer diagnosis came back. So that I was 37. It was 2013, and I was 37, and I had young kids and a young teenager at home. It was pretty life altering at that time.
How did you, when you got those results and you finally were able to process everything, how were the emotions? How was the support? How was the community?
I cannot say enough about the community and the support and the hospital and my friends and family. I just felt so loved and so taken care of and so cherished. The hospital always supported us, and they supported us with Gannon, and they supported us throughout that entire journey. And then this was just like, okay, what can we do? What can we do to help? And so there were meals, there were visits. I mean, it was amazing. We had, so Gannon was in early childhood, Sullivan was in kindergarten, and Owen was in first grade. And no kidding, the kindergarten teacher and the first grade teacher brought us over dinner one night because they just cared for us so much.
Yeah.
And the bus driver at the time, Connie, she couldn't hug me enough and tell me enough amazing things. So it just,
you made a big impact somewhere.
The community really, really rallied.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And where did you have your treatment done?
I was able to have all of my chemo treatments at the hospital. It was St. Clair at that point.
Okay.
I did 16 chemo treatments total.
Wow.
The first 2 months I had 4, so one every other week. And then for that entire summer, I had 1 a week for 12 weeks. So it's funny. So before I went in for my bilateral mastectomy, the boys brought me home a gift, and they brought me this bracelet. They were little at the time, and they said, "We knew you wouldn't want a necklace, Mom, but we wanted to get you jewelry." So they bought me this bracelet, and I wore it for every single chemo treatment. And then I thought, as we were going to talk about this morning, I should find it again. So I grabbed it, and I have it on now today.
Aw, that's so sweet of them.
Yeah.
How did your body respond to the treatment?
I think that cancer treatments, while there's a long way to go for it,
yes,
we've really come a long way as well. So they're really, really good at seeing how your body's reacting to a specific chemotherapy and then doing some adjustments. So the first one was pretty rough because I didn't know what to expect. They do a lot of steroids to make you feel better, which is pretty amazing to get that pre-treatment before your chemo appointment. It's funny because those are the days that I felt really great because I was getting all those steroids. So I knew that on my chemo days, but that day or the next day, those were the days I was able to get some extra stuff done at home because I was full of it. And then, you sort of crash a little bit after that, but it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
That's remarkable. And so you've been a survivor now for how many years?
13 years now. Just about 13 years.
Wow. And with all the community rallying and supporting you, one big individual that is coming out is Trisha and her tackle for breast cancer as well, because you've been a recipient. 2 years?
1 year.
Oh, 1 year? Okay.
Yep. So Trisha Zeitler out of Coleman her son was on the football team the year that I was going through my breast cancer treatment. And I knew some of Trisha's friends and family. I have a real big group of friends from Coleman. So I have a real place for Coleman in my heart. I mean, of course, I'm a Panther,
Yeah.
like through
Yeah.
and through. I'm going to bleed Panther orange and black.
Yeah.
But if the Panthers are down and out, I'm probably going to cheer
Well,
for
Coleman and Panthers just had homecoming against
They
one
did.
another, and that was probably a really interesting
It
game
was
to
really
watch.
interesting game to watch.
Fun to
So,
watch.
Trisha Zeitler said, I want to do this thing. I want to start raising some awareness for breast cancer. And she decided to start with this football game. And she had asked me through some friends if I would be willing to be their, not the spokesperson necessarily, but sort of the face of their first Tackle Cancer game. And I said, sure. So there's pictures of me and my husband and the kids, and they were little, and there was painted pink helmets that the team signed that they like raffled off, and so I have one of those that I found again the other day. So there was raffles, there was monetary donations. It was this amazing event that I was able to be part of. And shortly after the event was held, Coleman had a pep rally. And so a real good friend of mine, Steph Meyer, said, I'll go with you to this. She's from Coleman. She said, I'll go with you to this pep rally. So it was me and Gannon. He was home with me. And we went to this pep rally, and no kidding, they donated it was $2,500 to me, and then I think $2,500 to, I believe at the time it was Bay Area Medical Center. They were able to give some money to. So that was more money than I needed for my bills. And so what I was able to do, and I did this in honor of Coleman football and the Coleman community, but I was able to donate $2,000 of those dollars to the place where I got my wig from.
Wow.
And in turn, that helped 4 women get wigs that wouldn't have been able to have the money to get them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So little did Trisha and Coleman know how far their generosity reached.
And Trisha puts so much work into this benefit.
She really does.
She rallies hard, she is somebody that goes on minimal sleep just to make it turn out and be the best. And
so then this year at the Tackle Cancer game, that was the one that was against Oconto Falls. And I think because I'm from Oconto Falls, and then because I was the first recipient, they asked if I would come back in an honorary capacity. So I was able to stand at the track while my story was read over the loudspeaker. And then I got to listen to the stories of the 6 other women that were standing next to me that are currently going through their own breast cancer struggle. So it's interesting being the veteran. That time, it just happens. It happens over time. All of a sudden, we're the heart parent veterans, and we're the transplant parent veterans. And now all of a sudden, I'm a breast cancer veteran. And it's a little bit weird, to think back on where you were, or where I was.
Refill all those emotions. I'm sure all those emotions can just resurface sometimes. And
for sure,
seeing those 6 ladies right next to you, it's like exactly what they're feeling. So you can connect with them on a deeper level. They can reach out to you at any time, and just I'm just thinking in my head, your purpose is just blossoming. You're shining your light to so many individuals. You have touched so many other families that you probably don't even know. And it's just remarkable to have somebody sitting next to somebody that remarkable. It just fills my heart, because you don't hear these type of stories a lot of the time. People usually just bypass it and move on to some more sad stories. But this is a really positive, this is an uplifting story. And thank you for sharing that.
For sure.
Thank you so much. So I think with that, we are going to close. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you ever need to reach out, just hit those comments. I can send you some of Ginny's information. She's right here in Oconto Falls. You can find her on the Oconto Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. That's a long saying. It's Oconto Chamber. Yes. Oconto Falls Chamber website. And thank you again for sharing your story. It's so remarkable, and know that you are so important in this community, and you bring so much light to everybody.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. That's nice to hear. I think if there's one major takeaway that I want to make sure that the public knows, whether you're a male or female,
Mhm.
because men can get breast cancer too, is to advocate for yourself. If you
Yes.
think something's wrong, listen to what your body is trying to tell you,
Mhm.
and seek help.
Absolutely.
I think we can be our best. We can be our best advocates. So it's really important.
And with it being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, please go get your screens. Would you say like the
Please.
age of 30 plus? Now's the time. And if you have a family history of it, don't hesitate. Get your screens early because then you can take that preventative step.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, thank you. I hope you guys all have a great day.